All right, so I've organized some of these values here just to make it a little bit easier. And the next thing we want to do is call this run function and make sure that the state updates appropriately from that. So we'll say result.current.run, and we'll call that. And now we're going to get an error that says, hey, the argument passed to use async.run must be a promise. And we didn't pass anything. So let's make a promise to handle this for us. We'll make a promise here with new promise. And we're going to get a resolve and reject function here. And we want to be able to resolve this promise on demand. We don't want it to be a resolved promise when we pass it into run. So let's assign a resolve and reject. And we'll say resolve equals res and reject equals reg. And then down here, we can pass that promise. And then let's see what happens when we do that. We'll copy and paste this assertion and see what the differences are. Great, so isIdle changes from true to false, and isLoading changes from false to true. So let's make that update here, true to false, and false to true. And that makes sense, that seems to be working. And then the status changes from idle to pending. That also seems like it's working just fine. But now we're getting a warning saying that an update to test hook inside of a test was not wrapped in act. And so we need to make sure we wrap things in act to be sure to tell React that we're going to be triggering a state update, and we want all of the side effects to be flushed before we continue with the rest of our test, so we're dealing with a stable UI, just like the user would be. So we're going to import act from React Hooks testing library, which simply re-exports the act that's built into React test utils. So now we'll wrap this in an act call, and that warning will go away. Great, so now we're one step closer where we call the run function and we can assert on all of the changed state because of that run function being called. We also noticed an act warning, and because we're triggering a state update directly when we call this run function, we need to tell React that yes, we are expecting this to happen, and we do want all of those effects to be flushed when we finish running all of the stuff we're doing inside of this callback. This ensures that when we make our assertions, we're asserting on the same type of a UI that the end user would be interacting with.